Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So in today's video, I'm going to take a look at some players that I think you should be looking to buy or sell. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
So first of all, I'm going to take a look at some players that I think you should be looking to buy for game week 7 and beyond. And I think the first place to start is Arsenal. More specifically, the Arsenal defence, where they've got a good track record, they've got some good fixtures coming up. They've been solid over the start of the season. They've only conceded 2 goals in the first 5 games. I'm recording this before the Arsenal game. Arsenal have actually already played Man United, Man City and Liverpool and only conceded 2 goals. One of them was an absolute wonder goal by Szoboszlai, and they only conceded 2 big chances against Man City. So I think going forward, they're definitely on the buy side of things. Let's take a look at the few Arsenal defenders and how they project moving forward. They just look great overall. They've got a really stable, solid defensive structure. Let's take a look at the ranking of how I would put the Arsenal defenders, and it's the obvious guys at the top and the kind of risky guys down at the bottom. For me right now, the mainstays in this Arsenal defence are Gabriel, Raya and Saliba. There can be some argument to be made whether Timber is first choice, whether Calafiori is first choice. They've got Lewis Skelly, they've got Ben White, they've got the 2 central defenders they signed in the summer of Mosquera and Hincapié, I think his name is pronounced. So they have got options around there. If I'm going for anyone, I still think Gabriel is the first choice just because he's great from set pieces. I think he's almost nailed on. In terms of price-wise, I think he's worth the price difference over the other guys of 0.3 more than Timber and 0.4 more than Calafiori, and definitely more valuable than Saliba, who's 0.1 cheaper. In terms of percentages, like they're all relatively high on, so I think there's an argument to be made to actually even double. I probably wouldn't triple up because I think Arsenal have still got some good attackers. I'm not going to cover any Arsenal attackers in this video, but there's just too much uncertainty of like who's going to play and all that kind of thing. Ideally, I'd want someone like Saka, but we don't know if he's on penalties or if he's 100% fit. And Gyökeres isn't playing a full 90 minutes right now. Like, I love Eze, but like, is he first choice? Does Trossard come in? When's Odegaard back? So there's just a lot of things up in the air. So if I'm going for anyone right now, I would go double Arsenal defense as a minimum, to be honest. For me, it would be David Raya and Gabriel. I think the price points are really nice. They've got some great games coming up, and you can see the 11-5 predicted clean sheet odds there, and they're actually ranked number 1 over over the next 5 game weeks to keep the most clean sheets. Anything over like 40% is huge. No other team in the league have got any more than like maybe 1 or 2 over 40%. All of Arsenal's next 5 games are over 40%, where some are even 50%, where they're playing some of the newly promoted teams. They've got West Ham as well, so there's a lot of really good fixtures for Arsenal where I think you could do really well. And over the next 5 games, they do play West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley and Sunderland. They're just an elite defence. They're going to keep a lot of clean sheets. They're actually they're in line with their predicted data, so their expected goals conceded and their expected clean sheets are kind of there or thereabouts. So it's not like they're actually overperforming. So they've already got 3 clean sheets in the first 5 games. They could easily keep 4 or 5 over the next 5. I think they're just so tough to break down. Like, even when Man United played them, like they actually put up some decent XG against them. I'm gonna look at some XG in a moment where it doesn't really matter, mate. Like they're just solid and they know how to grind out results. Like, they know how to grind out wins, particularly close games as well. So for me, David Raya is he's the cheapest, and I think he's probably the most valuable because he's the goalkeeper, and I feel like he's very much a set and forget for quite a large part of the season now. So for me, who's on a game week 8 wildcard, David Raya is just going to go straight in there, and then it would go Gabriel, Saliba, and then probably Timber over Calafiori, just because of the fact that I feel like Timber can play left back, but there's always this like little niggling thing in the back of my mind where Ben White's just going to come. It is like he's just going to play any moment, and either Timber or Calafiori is going to get dropped to the bench, or like Lewis Skelly's going to play. So just to rule all that out, I would stick with the goalkeeper and the 2 defenders. Arsenal in the first 5 games only conceded 2 goals, and that's joint first with Crystal Palace, I think. I might have got that wrong, but I think it's Crystal Palace. I know Newcastle have done very well for clean sheets so far, and Liverpool are always pretty solid. But I've got the XG conceded over the first 5 games. So they only conceded 1.38 against Man United. That's still pretty good. Where I thought we absolutely battered them and we tried our best to score, but we just couldn't do it, mate. Like, and then those 3 games in the middle that are highlighted in green, they're just like elite kind of XG conceded kind of stats. They're just crazy high, or crazy low in this case, should I say, where they've either conceded 0.16 XG against Leeds, 0.48 against Liverpool away. Huge, mate. And I only took an absolute wonder free kick by Soberslide to get anything from that game. Arsenal could have easily ground out a 0-0 in that game, and that would have been 4 clean sheets from the first 5. So they're just elite, mate. Like, Nottingham Forest 0.29. What this says to me is when Arsenal are on form and up against kind of like the weaker teams, they're not going to concede a lot of XG. So I think with the upcoming games against West Ham, Burnley, Sunderland, Fulham, Crystal Palace, and the rest, I think they're not going to get a lot of XG, and that's just going to help Arsenal potentially keep more clean sheets. Even the game against even the game against Man City, where they conceded 1.12 XG, that was basically Haaland, where Haaland scored his goal where they got broke apart in the transition, and the Rangers chance towards the end of the game, that was pretty much it. Like, I think they only conceded something like 6 or 7 shots against a Man City team at home as well. Mate, elite. And the reason why I put David Ray in this picture here is that I feel like he goes under the radar a little bit, where he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, doesn't do anything flashy. I think he hasn't made a mistake now in what feels like a year. Like he made 0 errors leading to a goal last season. Just solid, really dependable. Doesn't do anything flash, anything fancy. Just keeps the ball at the back of the net. Moving away from Arsenal, and you still wanted some more defenders, I think you've got to target these DEFCON monsters of Virgil van Dijk, Joachim Anderson, Senesi, whose first name I've completely forgot, and Tarkowski as well. So these guys are just racking up the DEFCON defensive contributions. Tarkowski and Senesi have got it in every single game so far. Joachim Anderson I've got it in something like 4 out of the first 5 games. Van Dijk's got 3 out the first 5. So they're just going to keep getting it, mate. And if your player starts on a minimum of 4 points, all they've got to do is keep a clean sheet or like do anything, and they're probably going to get bonus as well. They're going to get 10, 12, 15 pointers. These guys can all get a goal as well. Like, Tarkowski's been known to get a goal. Anderson struggled with some injuries last season, but kind of like in his Crystal Palace days, was known to get a goal on the odd assist there as well. And Van Dijk's always been a beast from set piece. First of all, we've got Nottingham Forest players, mate. Like, they've played 5 games so far this season. They've won 1 game, drawn 2, lost 2. Only scored 5 goals in 5 games. That's like 1 a game, and conceded 9 goals, nearly 2 goals a game. The fixtures haven't even been that bad, and they're just a little bit underwhelming, to be honest with you, mate. Like, got absolutely battered by West Ham. Lost to Arsenal. Like, there's no shame in losing to Arsenal. Like, they have a good team. Drew 1-1 with Burnley, so they've already had some decent games, and they're just not living to the hype, to be honest. Like, I bought Gibbs White. I think they've been okay from a defensive point of view in certain games. Like, I feel like Nico Williams has been okay because he got the goal, but Murillo's been injured. They're still conceding goals for the most part. Attack-wise, they're just not clicking. Is Chris Wood going to start? Is it Igor Jesus? I think he's the player for Forest. Like, is he going to start? He's probably the only player that I wouldn't sell, Igor Jesus, just to make sure that he is going to be the starting striker over Chris Wood. We don't know what's going on, and I think it all comes down to one man, Ange. It all comes down to Ange. Don't rate him. Tactically, a mess. We saw what he did with Spurs last season. They're just an absolute horror show. I'm not interested in them at all. They've got some tough games coming up. They're not going to click. They're going to concede goals. They might score goals. I'm just not convinced, mate. I just don't think he's a good manager. I think he's potentially going to get them relegated. They've got Newcastle in game week 7, Chelsea in game week 8, Bournemouth away, really tough game in game week 9. Man United at home, we're terrible, but the way Forest are playing, I can see us beating them. Leeds away, Leeds at home in game week 11, yeah, good game, but that's in a few game weeks' time. Then Liverpool away in game week 12. Over this period, they predicted 15th out of 20 teams for goals over the next 6 games, and then 15th for clean sheets and chances over the next 6 games. I'm just not feeling it, mate. Like, I'm just not feeling it at all. Give me bad vibes. Just don't like what they're doing. Terrible manager. now's the time to move. I think if you've got anyone, if you've got a Neco Williams, a Murillo, a Milenkovic, keep them if you want. I just don't see it, mate. I think the only one you could potentially keep, like I said, is Igor Jesus. Maybe Elliot Anderson, because I feel like he's still going to get DEFCON. We did see him play in the 10, with Morgan Gibbs-White playing more kind of right-sided, 10 or like a right wing. I think Elliot Anderson is probably the one that I think you could keep, particularly in the more difficult games where he could get defensive contributions. And because of his price point, I feel like you're not missing out too much. Like, it's not like you're spending, even someone like me, like I spent 7.5 on a Gibbs White who's done literally nothing since I brought him in for Parma. I think he's got 2s every single week. Like it's not even like he's got a baseline 4 of those defensive contributions, or like a Murillo Milenkovic, who has been known to do well from a defensive contribution point of view, but just not feeling it, mate. Terrible manager, terrible fixtures. Sell him now. And just to finish up, I just wanted to mention a few teams and a few players that are kind of on the radar that I think you should kind of wait to make any kind of decision with. Jared Bowen is very much on the radar for me, particularly from kind of a Game Week 8 wildcard point of view. We've just found out that Nuno Espirito Santo has taken over, where West Ham from Game Week 8 onwards has got Brentford, Leeds, Newcastle at home, Burnley at home, Bournemouth away from Game Week 8 to Game Week 12 or 13. Very much on the radar for me. 7.7 million. If he can get down to 7.5, 7.6, he's like a lock-in for me on wildcard 8, to be honest. Aston Villa, like, I know they've been terrible, and I'm recording this before they play Fulham. They've got Burnley. They've got Burnley in Game Week 7. I think if you can wait out that Burnley game in Game Week 7, sell them in Game Week 8, that would be the most ideal scenario. I know they've been terrible, mate, and it feels weird to kind of keep them. I just can't sell players, no matter how bad they are, when they're up against one of the newly promoted teams. I just can't do it. I think for me as well, I'm just not convinced on Chelsea. So, like, whether this is kind of my bias coming through, I feel like you can wait a little bit, maybe a game week or two, before you start jumping on Chelsea players, where they've got Liverpool in Game Week 7, Nottingham Forest away in Game Week 8. I feel like you can maybe wait until Sunderland in Game Week 9 to start pouring in on them, where they've got Sunderland in Game Week 9, Game Week 10 is Spurs away, then Wolves, Burnley, Arsenal, Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton. So they've got a nice stretch of games where they've only got kind of one tough game in there where it's Arsenal. And I feel like you could triple up on quite a lot of the players. In terms of defenders, I love Chalobah. I think he's an absolute beast. Like, he's pretty locked in for me. I think I'd go Chalobah over Cucurella, to be honest. That's personal preference. I think Reece James is still solid, and my own concern with that, and everyone's concern with that, is his injury and kind of fitness concerns, because we've all seen what happened in the past. Bob Sanchez, I'm just not convinced by. I think Enzo's decent, and I think he's just scored right now from what I can see. I just seen a notification pop up. Caicedo's solid. Like, he's going to tick away with defensive contributions and get the odd goal involvement as well, because that's what he does. Palmer is potentially back by Game Week 8, Game Week 9, so like is he going to be an option by that point? I'd probably avoid the wide players. Like I'm not kind of looking at that right now. And then João Pedro, he's just punishment, mate. Absolutely punishment. And this might be time for me to jump on around Game Week 8, Game Week 9, to be honest. Last but not least, I think you can wait on Saka. Only just coming back. It feels like he's kind of constantly 50% injured. I saw him turn up at the Ballon d'Or event and he's kind of limping down the carpet. It's like, I don't know if it's like an act, or I don't know. I just don't know what's going on there. I feel like he needs, maybe he's got an underlying issue where he needs surgery and he just keeps delaying it because games just keep coming thick and fast. Like, is that just that kind of weird scenario where he can't have the surgery because he's going to be out for such a long time? Might be something like that, to be honest with you, mate. I was chatting to a mate from work, and we were deciding whether Saka or Gyökeres is actually on penalties, because I think initially, even if Saka was on the pitch, I think Gyökeres might have took the first 1 or 2 penalties just to give him confidence. He was an expensive signing, is the striker, he needs confidence. Like let's get him involved in the goals, give him the penalties. Like, it's an easy way to get into the goals. Now he scored a couple of goals and Saka comes back in. Will Saka kind of have that seniority and that kind of presence about him to take the penalties back and say, no, they're mine, like, I'm taking them? I don't know if he does, to be honest. It remains to be seen. And for 9.8 million, I don't know if I want to spend that on a player who's not on penalties, with potential injury and fitness concerns. Fixtures are good. I would wait until he's 100% fit and he looks like he's going to play it and playing every single week. I think you can wait for West Ham in game week 7. I think you can wait for Fulham, Crystal Palace in game weeks 8 and 9. If he's looking like he's back playing 90 minutes, I think you need him for that. Burnley away, Sunderland away, game week 10 and 11. That's when I'd probably start thinking about bringing him in. I think you could maybe even go a week earlier in game week 9. I think if you want to get him in 7, I feel like it's a bit of a gamble. Good player, and when he plays, he's great. But if he doesn't play, then it's just a lot of money to be sat on your bench, just kind of rotting away. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. So we looked at some players who I think you should buy, and I know it's mostly defenders, but I think that's where a lot of the value is right now, particularly for the kind of short-term fixtures. Then we looked at some players who we think you should sell, and it's mainly Forest, to be honest. They're just a mess. Like I don't like a lot of them. They just give me bad vibes. And then a few players that are kind of on the radar, mainly Chelsea, mainly West Ham. Now that Nuno Espirito Santo's taken over, and I think that could even extend to even more players, whether that's Juve, the left back, the central defenders, who we saw how good Nuno got Nottingham Forest. Like could he adopt a similar method and tactic into West Ham and have these really good central defenders? Remains to be seen. It's probably too early to jump on them straight away, but just keep them on your radar, just kind of see how they're doing from time to time, and maybe jump on them when the time looks right. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment down below. Peace and love. Have a good day.